Welcome, it's Noam, and welcome to this crypto update. Now, as you can see, Bitcoin price is $94,700 right now. And in my previous update, I said that either we go straight down to this liquidity zone or we have a more push to like $97,000, which was another liquidity zone. And from there, we will go basically visit the liquidity zone. So my analysis basically is still the same. I will give you a detailed analysis, obviously, at the end of the video. We will look at the fundamentals and the news throughout this video as well. But before we get started with all of the most recent things affecting crypto and Bitcoin, make sure to sign up for femex.com. First of all, you are eligible for $4,800 in welcome rewards when you use my affiliate code. You do not have to initiate any KYC when you start using the exchange, and the fees are extremely low. And just basically over the last week, they opened a new savings uh, program where you can earn 10% APY on your USDC holdings on a flexible plan, which means that when your USDC is sitting on the sidelines, you can earn a nice yield on your savings when you're basically not trading or doing anything with it. So make sure to sign up for femex.com using the link below or using this invitation code here. Now, let's get to the big news that we saw over the last week. Number one is that the United States had the first GDP shrinkage since 2022. And now basically we're looking for a recession, because a recession is simply two consecutive quarters of negative GDP. And because of the tariffs, most likely the economic output of United States is going to go down in the quarter two of 2025 as well. So my base thesis that the quarter three of 2025 will be bullish. I still believe that, but quarter two is still a little bit uncertain. But markets actually went up after these news. So I think there's a lot of disbelief in the markets right now, and they don't really think this is a big factor. They don't think the tariffs are a big factor. But this week, starting this week, I think a lot of the shortages will start to hit the markets. The price increases will start going up throughout May, and also we may see some escalations in the war fronts on the planet as well. So let's actually talk about some of the war escalations that we saw, because these obviously push down the US dollar, and it actually increases neutral currencies like gold and Bitcoin fundamentally. So Iranian oil is basically now on the threat of being sanctioned, and there's going to be secondary sanctions on every country that buys oil or petrochemicals from Iran. And 90% actually go to China. So again, they are targeting China with this move and Iran with this move. And I don't think China will actually follow this, but we'll see what actually happens. And this is not in effect yet. This is simply a threat that you have to stop buying Iranian oil. So Donald Trump is basically fully pushing for a war with Iran, and they want Iran to do the first strike. It seems to me that is the case. And also, I watched a full speech by Benjamin Netanyahu. It was on JNS. I think I will link it in the description. But anyway, in that speech, he basically laid out that they've done a lot of different strikes in the Middle Eastern countries. They've been able to topple every single regime except Iran. And every time they topple in a country or a government, United States is telling them don't do it, and then they do it anyway. So he was boasting about that in his speech, that he doesn't care what the president of United States tells him. He does whatever he wants, and then United States always backs them up. And he was boasting about the whole fact that they basically control United States by the balls. So anyway, I do believe that the escalations against Iran will continue. Next, United States has made a deal with Ukraine on the minerals. And when I read the contracts, there's actually three documents, and only one of them is public, and the remaining two are either signed or not signed, and that is unclear if they are signed or not. And even the first part is not yet actually ratified in the Ukraine government yet, so it's not in effect. And the whole wording of that document is extremely vague, what I was able to decipher and when I was listening to other analysts. But basically, it doesn't really talk that much about the minerals. It's simply a fund where United States will be able to allocate capital whenever they do send weapons into Ukraine. So they will be considered as investments into Ukraine, into that sovereign fund. And somehow from that fund, eventually money will be flowing back into United States. It's extremely vague. It's hard to understand. And I think it's on purpose that it is so confusing. And it just feels like they kind of just made it happen at the 100th day since Donald Trump came in at the last second, and it doesn't really make that much sense to me. Maybe other people can find a lot of understanding from it, but I wasn't really able to make a lot of sense of the deal. But anyway, there seems to be some kind of deal, so I guess that's a part of a win. But on the other hand, when Putin looks at this, uh, already before going into the war, they thought that Ukraine is basically backed by United States, and they're actually fighting United States through Ukraine. And now that they have this weapons deal, this sovereign fund, it basically is pushing Putin away from Trump. And it seems like Trump is going to double down and give more weapons to Ukraine. So the war continues. That kind of seems to be the case. I don't exactly know where it goes from here, but we'll see what continues to happen. But still, Donald Trump basically is pushing for this 30-day unconditional ceasefire, which absolutely makes no sense from Putin's perspective, because a 30-day ceasefire simply means that European countries can send their armies into Ukraine. They can fortify their defenses, and they can supply Ukraine with more ammunition and weapons and all these things. And the whole idea is that this 30-day ceasefire would turn into a permanent ceasefire. And at that moment, Putin would basically be fighting against NATO directly if the ceasefire is not going to be continued after 30 days. So there's absolutely no incentive for Russia to ever accept these deals. So I feel like this whole thing is going to fall apart, and Trump is going to double down and continue to send weapons into Ukraine. That's how I feel about it. And all of this basically means more money printing, more devaluation of the dollar in the long term. Now, Germany is going into the interesting direction as well. So they have basically banned their most popular party, the populist party called AfD, and the spy agency or intelligence agency in Germany has now labeled it as an extremist organization. And from this, Marco Rubio basically came out and said that Germany is looking to implement tyranny. So even though the West is basically going against Russia, it seems like the West is fighting itself as well. And China and Russia are basically just looking at this, eating popcorn from the sides and thinking, okay, let's see how this plays out. So they're not going to interfere with any of this. They will simply do whatever they are doing. And when Donald Trump gives these threats for Iranian oil and all these things, I just feel like China will simply eat the losses and continue to do what they were doing before. Yes, they will lose money, but they don't mind if the West is basically imploding itself in the process. So it's not gonna look it's not gonna look like a beautiful world we're heading into. But all in all, neutral currencies, most likely Bitcoin, gold, those will go up in value over the long term, as companies and people will still interact with each other. They want to transact, and the countries will still have to deal with each other, but they have to transact via something that they can actually trust together. So for these reasons, a lot of people are investing into Bitcoin and gold, obviously. Apple has lifted a ban that restricted in-app Bitcoin and crypto payments. So this is a huge move. It doesn't necessarily mean that money is immediately starting to flow into crypto and so on, but this basically means that tokenized gaming is now allowed on the Apple ecosystem. Now, it wasn't really it hasn't become anything big, at least as of now, because if it was big, it would happen on the Google Play ecosystem already. So maybe something will come out of this. Maybe they have some deals with some big developers, we don't know. But all in all, this is a positive piece of news. Then we saw the newest Tether attestation, and it basically tells us that they are holding $7.6 billion in Bitcoin reserves. And as United States is pushing for more stablecoin adoption, the stablecoin companies like Tether, they will continue to add into their Bitcoin holdings. So this is obviously a bullish move. As long as dollars are being pushed into the blockchain, I do believe that it is bullish for Bitcoin as well, at least through these companies. Then a city of Roswell in New Mexico, they have set up a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I don't know how they're going to fund it, but they have now set it up. So congratulations to them. Then Tether is looking to implement a new stablecoin. And this stablecoin is going to be only in the United States, and it's not going to compete with Tether. It's a fully compliant stablecoin in the United States, and USDT will continue to be the international stable coin. So this is somehow different, but I don't exactly know how or how big it will become. But they are trying to basically go into the United States markets with their own new stablecoin as well. One more thing to note about this is that they said that it will come out basically either by the end of 2025 or at the early 2026 at the fastest. So let's see how fast it will actually come. Then strategy, Michael Saylor, he's now buying more Bitcoin once again. Now he's pledging a $84 billion Bitcoin purchase plan. And when you look into the actual strategy behind this idea, 42 billion they're gonna buy through basically selling the common stock using the strategy that I've shared in this channel. I will link the video in the description. And the other 42 billion is gonna be using their new debt-like securities. I will link the video in that. I'm not going to explain the whole thing. But all in all, they're looking to buy $84 billion more. And just today, they made another tweet basically saying that they're going to buy more Bitcoin this week once again. So all in all, quite bullish on that front also. On ETF front, as you can see, we have had a lot of green days here. 670 million, 422 million, 172 million, 600 million, 400 million, 400 million, 900 million, 900 million. So a very, very, very bullish time for Bitcoin on the ETF front, which is obviously nice to see. But I feel like this current move is a little bit exhausted. Some people are taking profits, as I will show you on the sentiment here. But that basically gives us another buying opportunity in the short term. But fundamentally speaking, we are seeing more Bitcoin leaving the exchange reserves here. And as Bitcoin leaves the exchanges, it means that it is going into the stronger hands, most likely, and it's not going to be traded as fast as before, which means that eventually there's going to be a supply shock if people want to continue to buy Bitcoin, but there's not enough Bitcoin on the exchanges, then there's a chance that the price will spike massively to the upside. So fundamentally speaking, this is absolutely bullish to see Bitcoin entering strong hands. Very beautiful. The stablecoin issuance is continuing to grow. Now the stablecoin market cap is basically $212 billion. And here at the bottom, you can see the USD1 market cap, which is $2.1 billion, now updated on the sentiment as well. However, in my combined analytics here, I was not able to combine this number into the total market cap of major stablecoins, for the fact that the history of the stablecoin is so new that it basically will screw up my dashboard here if I add it here. So 200 $14 billion is basically where we are at currently. Then from previously I was talking about the profit taking. Here you can see all of the people who are basically transacting with Bitcoin, even as the price was like $94,000, $95,000. So here you can see a lot of profit taking being taken place. And also at the bottom here, this is the blue line here is the realized Bitcoin market cap, which is now sitting at $834 billion. So realized market cap is basically the total market cap of Bitcoin based on when all of the coins were previously transacted with. Whenever they are transacted, that becomes the new price for that coin. And when you put all of those together, that is basically the realized market cap. And here you can see that a lot of profit taking has been taking place with this price move here. So for these reasons, I do believe that we are headed for a nice pullback as well because of this profit taking, and a lot of the buyers are basically exhausted for now, and people are looking to buy Bitcoin at lower prices. So it just makes sense that we have a pullback. Nothing else really interesting on this front. On the short-term fundamentals, when we look at the liquidation heat map, this was the liquidity zone here, $97,000 that I shared with you guys previously, and that has been filled. And now above that, going basically over to 98, almost to $99,000. Here you can see a lot of liquidations building up, short liquidations, 500 million, 500 million, 600 million, 500 million. A lot of capital is basically getting liquidated if Bitcoin pushes to the to the upside, but also on the lower end here, basically going to $91,000 all the way down to $89,000. Here you can see a big liquidity zone as well. And here would be the second liquidity zone all the way down to $80,000 roughly. So I think we're at least gonna tag this liquidity here. I don't know if the price has enough juice to go all the way down to $80,000, but as the US economy is headed for troubled times, I think we have a chance to actually nail this also. That would be very beautiful, but the $90,000 Bitcoin price just seems very likely in the short term at least. Now looking into the aggregated spot order book depth, you're starting to see a little bit buying here. Let me actually change this to let's change it to 4 hours so we have a little bit more data here on the chart. So you can see a little bit buying action here, or buy limit buy orders, which is obviously nice. We are seeing more limit buy orders compared to limit sell orders compared to when the price was the same level here. So there is demand for Bitcoin, obviously, but I think the market makers would like to have a nice reset on those liquidation levels. And we're obviously nowhere near the amount of buying that we saw at the lows here previously. So for these reasons, I think that Bitcoin has a nice chance to actually visit lower prices. Yeah, that's basically it from that front. Now let's go to the charts here. So overall, when we look at the Bitcoin price, we are seeing a consistent higher lows, and higher lows on the chart. So we're still in the bullish uptrend, obviously. Also previously I had this bullish trend line here, and we are well above that as well. I have since taken it out because we still obviously have this a long-term bullish trend line all the way down here. And then if your eyes are very keen, you are able to see this line here as well. Let me give it a little bit more brightness. This is basically kind of pointing towards this cross section here, but I don't think price has that much juice to go all this low. And in my previous update, I told you guys that when the Bitcoin price went here to this RSI 70 level, that usually when we have a breakout, Bitcoin price likes to go to that RSI 70 level, and from there it has a rejection when the RSI falls down to roughly 50 level. And that basically happens all the time. And then when it pushes above that 70 level, that's when we start to see like the areas when Bitcoin is starting to have that exponential move to the upside. So right now, Bitcoin, in my opinion, looks like it wants to go lower here so that the RSI can go to visit this level, these 50 levels here. And from there, I just think a lot of people will be buying Bitcoin. So we could see something like this, where we go to almost the previous all-time highs, and from there something like this, or we go to previous all-time highs, and then we see a massive sell-off because of all of the fears. And this is still basically going into Q2 of 2025, when the recession is the recession fears will probably peak right about during May and during June. So we will go there, and from there I think that the price will go down, and we might even go to that 80k price level to visit the secondary liquidation levels. Now, I'm just speculating here. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think it would simply make most sense if we go and tag at least this 89k 90k price level here. It would perfectly go align with the previous resistance area, make that into support, and then continue pushing higher, and then we basically take it from there. But overall, Bitcoin is becoming more bullish. The world needs a neutral currency with all of these wars escalating everywhere, with trust eroding between allies and enemies. The world simply needs a neutral currency like Bitcoin. So that's the bullish narrative for Bitcoin, and obviously for crypto as well, because crypto represents neutral banking system. So that's it for this video. Consider using my affiliate links in the description. Subscribe to the channel if you like these kind of updates. I will see you on the next video. Thank you and bye bye.